Ready?
Alright, yes.
Alright, hi everyone. Welcome to Cupcakes and Hot Takes Part 8.
Yes, welcome welcome back if you're a returning listener, and welcome if you are a brand new listener. This is your first time listening to us. Yes, welcome to Cupcakes and Hot Takes, with Maral and John. I'm John.
And I'm Maral. Should I be Luthien for this episode? You want to be Baron?
Let's save that till the third one. How about that?
Okay, that's fair. We can be Baron and Luthien for this.
Yeah.
Alright, well, with that said, today's episode is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. We just watched it last Monday during 4th of July, and now we're ready to talk about it. Are you ready to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the notes.
Check your email.
Oh, right, there. Alright, yeah, that's what I was looking at. I forgot I only sent it to you, so I can check my sent file. Sorry about that.
And this time, for the first time ever, we have cupcakes. We'll talk about it later. So usually this is a point where we do a little synopsis. But who hasn't seen Lord of the Rings? If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's a great film.
Yes.
Trilogy.
Yes, so I guess let me take over the synopsis for the
Sure. Lord of the Rings, by the way, everyone, is one of John's favorite movie series, and books, so just putting it out there.
Yes, I am a big fan of Lord of the Rings, of the Tolkien universe, and so quick synopsis of just the first movie.
Yes, we will be doing 2 extra episodes for the other films, so this is just Fellowship.
Correct. So basically there are a group of people called hobbits, and they find a magical ring, which is evil, and they set out on a journey to destroy it with the help of other beings of Middle-earth in a fantasy universe.
Very short, sweet, and to the point, John.
I mean, like I said, it's hard to explain without giving away, spoilers.
I guess, yeah.
So
if you're into fantasy, or you want to know all the cultural references everyone, refers to, there's a lot of memes, there's a lot of references in society, so please go watch it if you haven't watched it yet.
Yes. I would recommend, if you've never been into fantasy and you're kind of interested in the genre, this would be the number one first thing you should watch that I would recommend.
It's incredible because Tolkien basically invented
modern fantasy.
Elves, orcs, dwarves, goblins.
Yeah, a common understanding or view of them.
Of current fantasy in the modern age. Yeah, it's incredible. Props to you.
Yeah. Actually, Brandon Sanderson, very famous fantasy author who's currently writing, he wrote a paper a long time ago called Tolkien Ruined Fantasy, or something like that along those words. And it talks about how Tolkien did such an amazing, elaborate job.
So iconic.
So iconic that everyone else can't possibly compete against it in a sense. So in that sense, he ruined fantasy. So like I said, if this is your first time trying to dabble into a little bit of fantasy, this is the number one movie that I recommend you watch first. So.
Alright, well with that, we'll do a little intro. For everyone's reference, we did watch the theatrical version, and then afterwards we saw the extended scenes. Normally we only watch the extended edition because it's pretty good. But this time around, we want to talk about the theatrical version, and then towards the end, we will talk about the extra scenes that were in the
extended scenes.
Yep. You like to do the whole intro stuff?
You can do the intro stuff since I'll be talking about the awards.
Well, this film was released in December of 2001 to the U.S. population. I'm sure there was a pre-screening and stuff like that. It was directed by Peter Jackson. The runtime is almost 3 hours. It's 2 hours and 58 minutes. And the extended version is an extra 30 minutes. So it's a good chunk of time. The budget was initially $93 million, just Fellowship.
I believe so.
Okay. Was $93 million, and it made $897.7 million in the box office worldwide. That's incredible. That's almost $1 billion for one movie.
Yeah, that's almost 10 times the amount of its budget.
That's incredible. Was the whole thing filmed in New Zealand?
Yes.
Okay, so the whole trilogy.
Yes, the whole trilogy, and also The Hobbit. The trilogy of The Hobbit were also all filmed in New Zealand as well.
Makes me want to go.
Yeah, there's definitely on my bucket list to visit there and see all the Lord of the Rings stuff. And
yeah, the little hobbit towns and stuff. So as we mentioned, it was adapted from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings Fellowship book.
Yes,
and
Fellowship
it's a trilogy of books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they did each book, each movie, and I guess that's the basic information. Let's talk about our personal grades. I give it, hot take, 9.1 cupcakes.
That's surprising.
Out of 10.
I give it a 9.3 cupcakes. I mean, it's not perfect by any means. It's still a great film.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah, A-. And just for frame of reference, Rotten Tomatoes also gives it a 91%. So about the same number as you, 9.1.
I did not know that.
Yeah, 9.1 cupcakes out of 10.
So we can talk about that a little further, but basically my only reason it's not higher is it has a few pacing issues. I'll leave it at that. And we can talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It does have some pacing issues. But yeah, we can address that later.
Now, I know you like to do the awards, so please.
Yes. For the 74th Academy Awards, it was nominated for 13 total awards that
That's
year.
incredible.
Yeah. But it only won 4.
That's the most nominations, I think, of movies we've seen so far.
Correct.
Because Schindler's List was nominated for 11.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so.
I mean, well, I'll double check that. But
Let there be a blurb.
yeah. And fun fact, even though Return of the King was considered, by everyone to be the best film of the 3, Fellowship has more nominations.
Wow,
Yep.
really?
Yep.
I mean,
By
Return
2
of the
nominations.
King had a sweep
Yeah.
of the awards, but less nominations.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So let's talk about what it won. Best cinematography, right? It's really hard to beat that.
I love all the sweeping,
The sweeping shots,
aerial shots.
the forced perspective. I don't
We'll
know.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Good cinematography. I agree.
Yeah. Best makeup, right? That was all practical makeup. With the orcs.
Yeah. That's why the orcs really the Uruk-hai, they stand up to this day. There's really very little special effects that didn't stand to this day, and that's because of the practical effects that they use. So all the makeup and like when they age Bilbo up after he gets his ring taken away, and he ages rapidly, something that I hate about old people makeup that they do is because they're adding on to the actor's face. It's always caked on, really heavy, and it doesn't look believable because old people's skin gets thinner as they age, and so it's hard to mimic that, right? And so when they aged Bilbo up, it genuinely looked like his skin was thinner. They did the wrinkles really well. I genuinely appreciated the makeup artist.
Yeah, they did a phenomenal job.
Very good job. And like I said, the Uruk-hai, looks so good.
Yeah.
And the scene when the Uruk-hai are getting ready for war, and the one puts the face paint on the other, and they're just That's girls on their makeup day. Sleepover.
Yeah, just a small side note because of that. It was really difficult. Sorry, I'm sidetracking. It was really difficult to concentrate on the film as a film because of all the memes and cultural references in the world, right? You just watch the movie and you just can't help but chuckle at certain scenes just because they're memes and really well done memes and
one does not simply
walk into Mordor. But yeah, sorry, that was a side note.
Yeah, no, there were definitely a lot of points where neither of us had to say a word, but like a scene would play, and we'd just both be chuckling because of the memes. That's not the film's fault.
No,
You know,
no,
it's because it's so iconic.
Yeah. But back to the awards. It also won Best Original Score. Howard Shore was a composer, which
I love
deservedly Shore.
I love the score. Fantastic.
It deservedly so. Deservedly so. Yes, sorry. Best Visual Effects also.
Yeah. Like I said, there's only a few scenes that really, like, it's now what, 21 years later?
Yeah.
CGI has gotten a lot better, obviously. There's really only 2 scenes that I can think of in Fellowship that don't stand the test of time. And that's when Gandalf gets yeeted up the tower after his battle. And then when Legolas is jumping on the troll, because that's like fully CGI. And so like it doesn't hold up too well, but everything else still looks fantastic and mystical and beautiful. And so that's because they built the sets, those miniature sets, practical effects.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
A plus.
Yep.
Even Hobbit already, in my opinion, is no longer standing the test of time. It's only been a few years. So.
Hobbit looked terrible when it came out.
Yeah, I know. In the theater, I was like, this looks awful.
Yeah, wow. Like, talk about taking a huge step back and just not caring anymore. Actually, sorry, sidetrack about The Hobbit. Ian McKellen, at one point in the movie they were filming, and he was surrounded by a bunch of green, like, balls, right? You know, because everything was green screen. And Ian McKellen was just in the scene by himself, and he actually broke down into tears because of how upsetting it was. You know, just him by himself, and it was just a bunch of green balls.
I mean, Ian McKellen is a play actor, right?
No, yeah,
so
yeah.
he's used to like
interacting with people and things like that, and he cried and, you know, actually said, "This is not why I went into acting." But again, the Hobbit was just a mess. Terrible. Terrible.
That's a separate issue, I suppose.
But let's continue with the awards. Sorry about so many tangents.
Back to the awards.
I could talk about The Lord of the Rings for hours, but like I said, we don't want to take up too much of your time. You know, we all have things to do.
Yes, it was actually hard to
limit ourselves.
We could potentially make this episode like a 2-3 hour podcast, but we'll try to limit to our usual 1 hour.
Mm-hmm. But other awards. So everything else, it was only nominated for. 1 second, sorry. Baron is playing. Baron the Border Collie, he's playing right now.
Not Baron, the character.
No. Yeah, Baron the Border Collie. I'm sure you saw him running around. But yeah, so everything else from here on forth is just nominated for.
Okay.
It was nominated for Best Picture. Mm-hmm. The winner of that year was A Beautiful Mind.
Not a good film in my opinion.
I liked the film.
It's fine.
Yeah, it was interesting enough. I was surprised that it won Best Picture. Other films that were nominated were Gosford Park, In the Bedroom, and Moulin Rouge.
I love Moulin Rouge.
I was surprised it was nominated for Best Picture, though.
It's just, like, fun.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. I'm not saying it's not.
I'm not going to say it's a high art movie, but it's fun for...
Yeah, just for a frame of reference, I listed a bunch of other movies that came out that year. I really think the aughts...
I'm looking at the other films.
Yeah.
That's some competition.
Yeah, I think the aughts and the 90s, and then if you go back to the 80s, was probably or maybe the 70s. I'm trying to think what movies came out with.
No, I like the 80s stuff.
Was it 80s? Were like the golden age of TV, those 3 decades, or of movies, those 3 decades. Yeah, you know,
love for the 10s?
Oh, the last 20 year, or last, 12 year of movies have not been good. I'm just, no.
Okay, let's...
But anyways.
Why do you say that? What other films came out that year?
Yeah, so here's just a list of some of the movies that came out. I could have written down a lot more. But
in 2001.
In 2001, there was Pearl Harbor, Black Hawk Down, Shrek, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Ocean's 11, Jurassic Park 3, Spirited Away, Legally Blonde, The Fast and the Furious, The Others, Not Another Teenage Movie. I had to add that.
It's not a good.
It's not a good movie, but
it's fun.
I love watching. I love that movie. Monsters Inc., Training Day, The Princess Diaries, Vanilla Sky, Spy Kids, The Mummy Returns, Scary Movie 2, Take My Strong Hand, Rush Hour 2, Zoolander, Swordfish, and Hardball.
All very big movies.
Yes, so like I said, that was a lot of, very iconic big movies.
Yeah, a lot of competition that year.
Let's see, what is nominated for? Best Director was nominated. Ron Howard won for A Beautiful Mind. Best Supporting Actor, Ian McKellen. The winner was Jim Broadbent in Iris.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is or that movie, honestly.
But good for him.
Best Adapted Screenplay nominated. Again, a winner was A Beautiful Mind. Best Art Direction, the winner was Moulin Rouge.
I will say, Moulin Rouge had a really great conceptual, image look.
Yeah.
It was very bright, colorful, beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
Things were going all the time.
Yeah, it was very well done, yeah.
So, for art direction, I would say, yeah, that's valid.
Best Costume Design was Moulin Rouge also.
Oh, hey.
That one was a bit of a surprise over Lord of the Rings. I mean...
I don't know about over, yeah, but I will still say that I like the costume design a lot, too.
Yeah, the costume... Again, Moulin Rouge did a really good job with certain things, like art direction, costume design.
We can watch it tomorrow.
I think it's on the list eventually.
I don't think it's on the IMDB list, no.
I don't know. I don't remember. But we can watch it. And
yeah. I just like the movie.
Yeah. Let's see.
Ewan McGregor?
Yeah. Maral loves Ewan McGregor, if anyone didn't know that.
I do. I do.
Let's see here. Best Film Editing. The winner was Black Hawk Down, actually.
Oh, yeah. It's a very good movie.
I'm going to skip this one for now. Best Sound. Black Hawk Down also won.
Okay.
Which I think
also Ewan McGregor.
Yes, Ewan McGregor is also in that movie as well.
Big year for him.
Yeah, Orlando Bloom's also in that movie.
Yeah.
That movie actually has a lot of big name actors.
It does.
I actually really like that one. It's probably my favorite war
We do
movie.
own it.
Yeah.
Really, over all the other war movies.
I believe it's my favorite. I gotta double check, but I can't think of another. I mean, unless you count Tropic Thunder, but that's not a war movie.
Stop it. Stop it.
Now
you're losing all our credibility.
No, yeah, that was a joke. I mean, I love Tropic Thunder, but I know, it was a joke as a war movie and being like a good war movie. But so I'm going back to this one because this one shocked me.
I'm looking at it.
Best Original Song. It was nominated. Enya the Singer with May It Be, right? It's sung during the credits of the movie. May It Be, if in case anyone doesn't recognize it. Which I thought was a fantastic song. And you know what beat it? Monsters Inc.'s If I Didn't Have You. That blew my mind.
I didn't know that was an original song.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was an original song,
I thought they were
first
just
of all.
singing.
Yeah, I really thought it was a song beforehand.
Yeah.
I did try to do a little bit of research. Not a lot. I was just
You're like, this
done
is
with
stupid.
it. This is so dumb, right? So I just didn't really do too much research, but it does seem like it's an original song.
Okay.
Honestly, part of me thinks so. Best animated movie that won that year was actually Shrek, right? And part of me thinks, not part of me, actually a lot of me thinks, the Academy Awards, the Oscars, just felt bad because, oh no, Pixar for once didn't win the best animated film. Let's give them this let's give them an award because just because they're Pixar and Disney, they have to win at least one award, which I think is really dumb. There's lots and lots of years where Disney and Pixar should not have one best animated film.
Agreed.
And I think they know they shouldn't have one best animated film.
I think they got the deepest pockets.
Yeah, that's just...
Another hot take.
Yeah. Screw you, Oscars.
Let's be honest, the Oscars are who has the most money and who can throw that around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are you gonna do? Alright, that ends all the Oscars for that year.
So that was Captain, the corgi.
If y'all would please
stop knocking over my mic. Mommy's mic is right there. We got Baron here. And Cat.
Can they see him?
Yeah, they can see
Captain,
Baron.
come here. Come here, you're too short to be seen.
They can kind of see her ears.
Oh. Oh, come here. Say hi.
All right. But before we get into the rest of the movie, it's our our notes and spoilers. We do need to thank our sponsor, Bakery Park. It is a small local bakery in the Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates area of Illinois. Chicago west suburb.
Yeah.
So if anyone is interested in a baked good, they specialize in pies, but they do bake many other things, or pretty much whatever you want to request.
Including cupcakes.
Including cupcakes, yes. These are from Bakery Park, aka Maral, who is the owner of Bakery Park. So you can find a link to their website in the description below. That's
Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
You gotta do the whole like, comment, subscribe.
Oh, that's at the end.
No, I'm just saying you gotta get used to it. Alright, let's talk about this cupcake that I made.
Yeah, please go in.
So, I tried to keep it simple for the first one. This
Let me
is...
go up to the camera so they can see it.
Oh, it's nothing special visually. So this is a white cupcake with honey and vanilla and champagne frosting. I kind of wanted to be like, what kind of cake would Bilbo Baggins eat for his 111st birthday? And I was like, he would definitely have champagne in his cake.
Well, these stocks here. Am I allowed to eat it?
Yeah, please enjoy. I like to do the cupcake sandwich method,
Me too.
personally. So please enjoy. Let me know what you think. I will be trying to make these themed for the movie we watch.
Here you go, Baron.
Aww.
Here you go, Cat.
What do you think? And then they're green for the Shire. If I could be any Lord of the Rings race, I would definitely be a hobbit.
I'm not a fan of the prosecco you use, correct? In the frosting?
I did. I used Prosecco.
I mean, I'm just not a big fan of wine and stuff in general.
That's
so,
fine.
But ooh, I like the moistness.
Do
of
you get
the
the
cake.
honey?
Yeah, the honey
Yeah, it's got a strong honey flavor.
spilling all over my chair.
Yeah, it's a honey buttercream frosting.
Sorry guys, I ate the rest.
Well, how come they're swarming you? They know you're the weak link. You gonna feed them.
Yeah, they know you too mean.
So for the two towers, I will try to come up with a different flavor. I'll probably use the same base though, the white cake.
Yeah.
Alright, let's move on.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So just a fair warning. Here on out there will be spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie yet, please, pause the podcast, stop listening. Whatever you got to do to go and watch the film. Like I said, it is a delightful, wonderful film.
Please have a great time. Enjoy the film.
Yes.
It's not gonna be heavy like Schindler's List. It's just a fun. Well,
I mean, yeah, there are some
hard parts.
hard parts, not nearly in the sense as our last episode, Schindler's List.
Right.
No one's getting raped or just flat out like murdered. I mean, there are fight scenes.
There are killings.
There is killing, and fighting in the fantasy world.
But it's not brutal or unnecessary violence.
Yeah. So, like I said, definitely recommend.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, let's start getting these spoilers.
Um,
Our thoughts.
Yeah, just from the opening scene.
Iconic.
It was this iconic.
Beautiful opening scene.
Yeah. Something I love about this film the whole trilogy as a whole is they do such an amazing job of telling the history of a movie.
Without being super dense.
Correct.
Because if you like actually read the book, there's like so much lore and mythology that J.R.R. Tolkien set up in the background. So I think they did a great job adapting. Like, here's what you need to know.
Yeah.
Super quickly.
Yeah. On top of that, even like the past scenes, there's just they make it fun and enjoyable to watch. We got the opening fight scene, right? About everything and what happened with the rings and all that. We got the when Elrond is talking about he's in the mountain with Isildur, right? Isildur, cast it into the fire, just even like small scenes like that. Like I said, it was just really well done. Like the history
really
of it all. Yes.
She's trying to eat the cupcake from underneath the glass table because she can see it, so she was licking it, but she can't get to the cupcake. Sorry. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, you wrote something right here about Gollum. Did you want to share that real quick?
Oh yeah, I love the way that they introduce Gollum. They bring him up, and they show like bits and pieces of him, but they don't show him like really what he looks like at all in this film in its entirety. Really,
Mm-hmm.
we don't really see him at all.
Yeah, we see little bits of him. We see like a dark outline in the intro.
Yeah, we see his eyes,
we
the
see
outline,
his eyes, some fingers.
Yeah, but we don't get to see him at all.
Yeah.
And I love the way they introduced him in the opening scene.
Mm-hmm.
Very suspenseful, very cool. Love it.
Yeah, and then and then it goes into like this battle scene, like deep history, and it goes into the Shire, right?
The lovely Shire.
The lovely Shire, very peaceful. They're celebrating a birthday. It kind of gives us like that, almost like that false sense of security. Right? Like this is gonna be a happy-go-lucky film. In a sense, like Samwise in the movie, right? He's just a gardener, he's minding his own business, and he gets ripped out of the Shire, going on this crazy quest to help Frodo, and
so's Frodo in that case.
yeah, Frodo, yeah, same thing
Just
happens to
a
him.
young little kid.
Yeah. But Frodo always wanted to go on an adventure.
Yeah, that's true.
Where Samwise, he was just
He was content to stay in the Shire forever. Yeah, the editing was also incredibly well done. As you mentioned before, the forced perspective that they used. Actually, obviously Frodo's actor, Elijah Wood isn't actually 4 feet tall. But they're able to really make all these characters.
It's 3.5 feet.
Is it 3.5? Okay. They're able to make them all so small because they used forced perspective, which, for those of you who don't know, we look small because we're all the way in the background, and if Baron stood up, he'd look really big because he's right next to the camera. And so, playing with the camera angles and the distance from the camera, they're able to make certain characters look much bigger or much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, if you got a very awesome, just cut slice of the movie that you can Google. Just Google Frodo, Gandalf, and cart. Those 3 words. Or then forced perspective. Sorry, those 5 words. And they'll show you a different angle that it was shot at, and Frodo is actually 3 feet behind Gandalf in the film. And
on the cart.
Yeah, he's actually 3 feet behind him. Yet the way they were able to, manipulate it and, angle it, it looks like they're right next to each other. And that Frodo is just a lot smaller than Gandalf.
And then, some of the shots they do with the ring, the ring that they're using is actually this big.
Yeah, some
because
shots, yeah.
They want to show all the features and details and the forced perspective, so they have it pretty close up, and the ring is huge. But, because of the perspective change, it doesn't look like it's actually that giant. It just looks like a normal sized ring. So, yeah, great editing. That's all on that.
Yeah, and another, perfect example is Gimli. The actor, John Rhys Davies, he's actually the tallest member of the tallest actor of the Fellowship crew.
That includes Gandalf.
Yeah, that includes Gandalf, Ian McKellen. He's John Rhys Davies. Just how they showed him on the screen. Just the angles. Just showing his shoulders up. And whenever they did show him he's standing and it's his full body, it was either forced perspective or they had a stunt double. But even then, they show the stunt double just for 1 or 2 seconds at a time. Just standing there, really short time. If you really look at it, you can tell. Okay, that's not John. But
can you tell?
Yeah, if you're
Having
really focusing on it. Yeah, I was actually when we were watching it, I was actually trying to see if I could tell the difference.
Oh yeah.
You can see a slight difference.
Okay.
It's a different person.
Well, yeah.
But watching it without looking for it, you could never tell.
Definitely.
It's the idea, of how they edited it, showing him, a couple seconds at a time. Again, really well done. Beautiful.
And I think the editing is made to look very fantastic. Like I said, those big swooping aerial scenes.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, 100%. And you were talking, editing though. I don't know, man. You were talking about the pacing of the movie. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 3-hour film. I'm not complaining that it's too long. Most of the time, I do complain that it's too long. I'm not gonna say it's too long. It could have stayed 3 hours long. It's just that there's building and rising action, and there's a crescendo and a falling action, and then there's rising action and the falling action. It goes and goes and goes, and I don't know, it just doesn't work. And sometimes there's timing things that are weird. For example, when you're in Moria, they walk in and they ask, how long is this going to take, to get through the mines of Moria? And Gandalf says 4 days. And then they immediately leave Moria. And I don't know, the timing never feels like it's appropriate. For example, Bilbo's birthday. And then Bilbo shows Gandalf the ring. Gandalf leaves and does some research.
So, in the book, so there's a lot of issues between timing, especially from the book versus the movie. And, a big thing about that, Gandalf said he was looking for Gollum and everything like that. So in the book, when Frodo gets the ring from Bilbo, it's another, I believe, 30 years before Gandalf comes back.
Okay.
And Frodo actually leaves the Shire. And that way he's also the same age as Bilbo when Bilbo first left the Shire in The Hobbit. So there was a big time jump that, the movie couldn't really show.
Yeah.
So that was something they skipped over.
Sure, that's fine and all.
Yeah.
But, think about it just conceptually, right? The birthday party, Bilbo shows Gandalf the ring. Gandalf physically leaves, goes and does research. And then it almost seems like that exact same evening, he comes back and talks to Frodo about the ring. There's really no passage of time in any, actual rational way. It's just kind of weird. The pacing can get a little, any passage semblance of time is very confusing. To this day, if I think about it, I think about all that occurring in one evening. You know what I mean? And then for the same with the Mines of Moria, I'm oh yeah, they were in the Mines of Moria for a couple hours, but it's 4 days. And so that's fine and all, but at the same time, every time I watch the film, I think it's gonna end, and I know it doesn't end there, but it feels like it's gonna end, spoiler, when Gandalf fights the Balrog and falls into the pits of Moria. And they leave the Mines of Moria, and they're all, mourning and grieving Gandalf. And then there's another hour after that.
I think it was because
they have a whole separate fight scene. They get chased. They go and they meet Galadriel.
Yeah.
There's a whole several scenes after that.
Yeah.
Even though the Balrog was like the high point of the film.
Yeah, I think that's something just like in movies in general, which is, you know, a lot of contrast compared to books in general. You know, movies are designed to have the climax near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, where books can have multiple climaxes. You know, most people don't read a whole book from beginning to end in one sitting.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
they read the book, they put it down, they come back to it. You know, where movies, you know, they're not really designed for that. So yeah, I agree though. You know, it's such a huge climactic event. Gandalf dies. You know, the Balrog. You know, they finally escape, and everyone's all sad. And then they get to Lothlorien, and wow, it just felt so much slower.
It does. It loses so much of its pacing.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing
Yeah.
about it is like, it's the first of a trilogy, right?
Yeah.
So then you get to the point and you think, oh man, how is the team gonna rally after this big loss? We'll find out in the second movie. Oh, just kidding. There's another hour of the film left where they...
Yeah, I will say they picked it back up. The pacing.
They pick it back up.
After they leave Lothlorien.
Absolutely, I fully agree with you. But that doesn't mean it's not a sheer drop.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
And it's hard to pick up
Mm-hmm.
rather than maintain.
Correct, yeah.
So that's my spiel. If it didn't have that, I would probably give it like a 9.6.
Wow. Just because of that one
Just
part.
because of the pacing, yeah.
Wow. Like that,
Personally.
I had an issue with the pacing too, but I still gave it a 9.3.
I mean, the cast, fantastic. Soundtrack, fantastic. Story, fantastic. Directing, fantastic. So it's just really that one issue for me.
No, so I'm just saying I'm surprised you gave it
Such a
minus, like minus 0.9 because of the pacing.
Like I said, every time I watch the film, I'm like, here we are at the end. Just kidding.
But kind of going off of editing, you know, there's sound editing. You know, it's not a big issue. Again, I'm being nitpicky at this point.
Yeah.
You know, every now and then I have to adjust the volume. You know, just because, you know, sometimes like the music was too loud, you know, the voices were, you know, hard to hear. You know, so just a little bit of sound editing, I think could have helped that. But again, that's just being nitpicky. You know, something else I really wanted to talk about was the casting. What do you think of the casting?
Like I
and
said,
the acting?
Acting, casting. I could not imagine a different Gandalf. I could not live in a world where Frodo isn't played by Elijah Wood. You know what I mean? Like, casting, perfect.
Yeah, I agree. It was absolutely perfect casting. You know, we got really lucky, especially with the part of Aragorn.
Aragorn? What's his name? Viggo
Mortensen.
Is Aragorn.
Yeah, he was the perfect cast. No one else, I think, could have done a better job.
Please tell them.
Yeah, just some
Who else
trivia.
could have been Aragorn?
Daniel Day-Lewis, the guy with the big mustache, was Peter Jackson's #1 choice, actually. But, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis didn't believe he was right for the role, yada yada, so he turned it down. And then his second choice was actually Russell Crowe. And Russell Crowe was very interested in doing the film. However, there were scheduling conflicts, so Russell Crowe couldn't do it. Keep in mind, this is the Russell Crowe right after Gladiator. Gladiator came out in 2000.
He was pretty beefy at that point.
Yeah, he was beefy, you know, and whatnot.
And Australian. Although Viggo Mortensen has an accent.
Yeah, he does. And Nick Cage was also asked by Peter Jackson, but Nick Cage actually turned it down.
Can you imagine Nick Cage in Lord of the Rings? Not only that, but like
that would have ruined
an
the film.
iconic character. I couldn't take it seriously. Although the memes would pop off even more.
Go, Brando. You wanna go potty?
No. Don't you think the memes would be even more ridiculous?
Yeah, they would
with
be
Nick Cage?
so much worse with Nick Cage. Brandon, you wanna go? Oh, she's back. Hey, stop that. Hi, Legion the black cat. Captain, stop it. Oh, are you gonna take my seat? Okay, I'll sit up front like this. Baron, stop, leave her alone.
Alright.
Yeah, and actually, Stuart Townsend was actually there on set, and to play Aragorn. Yeah, and they filmed a little bit. After 4 days of shooting, Peter Jackson realized they needed someone older, because in the books, Aragorn is 87 years old, and Stuart Townsend was only 27 at the time.
He's not actually 87 human years. But
no, he has 87 human years.
But I mean, as a ranger.
You mean as a Dunedain?
Dunedain. Yeah.
Physically, he looks younger.
Yeah.
Physically, he's supposed to look like a 40, 30, late 30s, early 40s type of character.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's not supposed to look like an old man.
80.
They live to be like 200, over 200 years old. So yeah, but Peter Jackson realized they needed an older actor. So he actually fired him.
Can you imagine getting fired off of like one of the decade's most iconic films? Yeah,
and Viggo Mortensen showed up without even reading the script or have read the books at the time. So he showed up on day one.
He's like, I'm here.
Yep. But
all
yeah.
shall love me and despair.
Yeah, but like I said, I wouldn't recast anyone in the movie. Everyone was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Ian Holm as Bilbo. All four
Sean
hobbits.
Bean.
Sean Bean as Boromir. Hey, stop that.
These animals.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to annoy them.
Yeah.
Now that they're live streaming.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, just phenomenal. Even the minor characters.
Yeah. Genuinely.
Just again, I can't even. Yeah.
What's her name? Is Galadriel?
Kate Blanchett.
Kate Blanchett, as she does the narration for the intro. Fantastic.
Actually, they actually recorded the intro being said once by Ian McKellen.
Okay.
As Gandalf, and then once by, I don't remember, I think it was Ian Holm, who played Bilbo, or someone, I forget, someone else also recorded it. Peter Jackson just didn't think it was right. The feeling wasn't right, so he was like, let's try out Kate Blanchett, as Galadriel.
Yeah, no, she gave that great, mystical,
yeah, it was
ethereal
perfect,
feeling to it. Yeah, fantastic.
Also, Galadriel was there since like the beginning of,
yeah.
She's
who else could
one
tell
of the first original
history?
elves, so it was perfect.
It was.
But yeah. But despite all the greatness of the films, there were some bad points which I think it's time to get into. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I already talked about my whole
there's the pacing
and the passage of time.
You want to go
It's
into?
weird for me. Also, the battle between Gandalf and Saruman.
Oh yeah, when they're just pushing each other.
They're just like, like, these are supposed to be some of the most powerful beings in Middle Earth, right? Let's be honest. There's 5 wizards?
Yeah, 5 wizards.
And Saruman the White is the strongest of those 5 wizards. These are basically angels on Earth.
Yeah, basically, in essence, they're angels on Earth.
And they're just sort of force pushing each other a little bit. I understand they're limited, right? I'm not gonna say I wanted these old men doing backflips. Right? They're obviously limited by their actors and they don't want to make it look silly. And I also appreciate that it's a soft magic system.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not literally throwing spells at each other. And I do genuinely love the soft magic system because Gandalf can't just fix everything. Gandalf can't just wave a wand and bring forth a whole army, He's very limited. He's only there to provide guidance and a little bit of help, right?
Yeah, he can provide guidance and he can use his magic to fight evil magic.
Yeah, he can do elemental.
Yeah, so he can.
So he's got the flame of
Udun.
Yeah.
So the Balrog, was in essence a demon.
Yeah.
And used, in essence dark magic.
So he could fight it.
Yeah, he was able to fight it with his good, good quote unquote good magic.
Please.
So, if he had used his magic to changed the course of Middle Earth or anything like that, then he would have been stripped of his magic and died. Or not died, but he would have been stripped of his magic. So, but yeah.
Yeah, so, like I said, I understand there's limitations to the soft magic system and they're old men, but it just looks lame.
I agree.
It's supposed to be a big epic battle and it's pretty lame. What other small nitpicky things do you have to add?
When the four hobbits get together, right? And, it's right after they leave the Maggard's Crops, right? And the Wraith Rider, right? The Wraith finds them. Or not finds them, but, he's like nearby. Looking for them. They're all under like that tree trunk in that hole. And he's literally hovering over the hobbits. And Mary throws the bag of mushrooms, and the Wraith just doesn't see it.
And also, how hard could they eat these bag of mushrooms? That the Wraith goes all the way over there.
Yeah.
Like, I could throw a bag of mushrooms like 30 feet.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they're... And
hobbits... A Wraith would see me immediately, and also hobbits are tiny.
Yeah, and like, it's not like hobbits are like super physically strong, like a dwarf, right?
Yeah.
Like a dwarf could probably eat that thing pretty far.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, I'm with you there. Something else that I really don't like is just me in general.
With a lot of fantasy.
About
not just
fantasy, yeah, I guess this mainly just really concerns fantasy, is when it's, when Frodo, after he gets stabbed by the Morgul blade, they take him to Rivendell, and then Frodo wakes up with Gandalf there, and Gandalf tells him it's 10 a.m. on October the 24th. I absolutely hate when fantasy is just lazy and does that. Using our time and calendar.
Assuming that the Roman Empire occurred.
Yes, like what? Are we supposed to believe like the Caesars were there in Middle Earth and until they get August and like July and like it makes no sense. Like so again, that's something that's just always personally bothered me. I know most people don't care, and it makes it easier for writers. And Tolkien wrote this 100 years ago, or almost 100 years ago. But yeah, it just bothers me to no end.
That it's using our system.
Yeah, that's using our calendar and our time. And even the time, I'm not that much of as nitpicky as I am the calendar.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, how hard it would have been for them to say like, oh, it's the second moon of the.
Even if they said like 8th month.
Or yeah, like the second moon of the autumn
season.
Like they don't have to make up some crazy thing, but it could still be kind of ethereal, kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. Let's see. Galadriel, when she goes all bonkers, right? What Frodo gives her.
All shall love me and despair.
That editing was probably the one part of editing I probably would have changed. Like she looked kind of
like green.
The green, and just like that could have looked better.
It could have looked better, but
I thought it looked kind of lame.
I don't hate it.
I'm not a big fan of it.
I don't like that they did the exact same thing in The Hobbit.
What do you mean?
I believe there's a scene where Galadriel.
Oh yeah, when Galadriel's fighting,
magic, and she turns the exact same green.
I mean, I think they did that to show like when she uses magic, her power, she turns green.
It
looked dumb.
It looks silly.
Yeah.
Oh, he burped in my face. The mic probably caught that.
Yeah.
These kids are nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, that could have easily been different.
Yeah.
And then one last really thing that I have to say negative about the film, very minor, is when Sam. So Frodo is taking the boat off by himself. He's going to Mordor alone, and Sam goes, "Of course you are, and I'm going with you, right?"
Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee.
Well, yeah, not yet, but then he gets in the water. He can't swim, right? And why is he drowning for like a good 20 seconds? Just. Like I said, I thought that was just too long.
They
And
could have cut it a little short.
they could have cut that, and like I understand Frodo had to turn the boat around and stuff, but yeah, that just looked really dumb.
Minor.
Again, minor, yeah, but yeah, let's talk about some of the positive things. You want to get into that?
Yeah. So, I mean, these are mostly yours, John. Actually.
Yeah, but I don't want to just keep talking.
Sure, that's fair. I mean, what's great about
What did you? Other things that you liked about the film that we haven't talked about already?
I love the set design. I
Yeah.
absolutely love the Shire. I love the Baron. Please. Pick me up on the mic. Come on. I love the weird Uruk-hai orc hole that they are birthing, the birthing pits of the Uruk-hai. That looks fantastic. I love Prancing Pony. All the set design is just so good. I love that even the small details of the Prancing Pony when they're trying to walk into the town so they can get to the Prancing Pony. They're at the door of the city and the guard opens the first little latch, that peephole, and he's like, "Who's there?" And it's the little hobbits, and they respond. And he has the second little peephole down, like 30
He looks
feet
at
high.
the second peephole first before they say that. He looks through, sees no one, and then he opens.
Yeah. That's what I just said. He goes through the first one. The little hobbits are there. He opens the second one. Like, of course, in a fantasy world, they're gonna have like different sized peepholes. I love that. I love the like I said, the practical effects are amazing.
Yeah, very well done. I agree. Some of the things I wrote. They never forgot that Merry and Pippin were the fun hobbits. Like they're supposed to be like comedic relief. It's like when they're at the Prancing Pony and they're like, it comes in pints. I'm gonna get another one.
And it's just so comically large.
Yeah, and when Pippin's asking about like second breakfast. 11sies. Doesn't forget that they're comical, they're funny, they're hobbits.
Every time Gandalf yells at Pippin.
Yeah. Throw yourself in next time, rid us of your stupidity.
Fool of a toque.
Yeah, fool of a toque. Yeah. Just random. I wouldn't necessarily. Can you please play with that on the carpet, please? She keeps playing with that on the hardwood floor. Sorry, I left my. Oh, I guess this is a random thing. It's Bilbo when he saw the ring on Frodo and he goes, "Ah!" Right? Scariest moment in all three trilogy. Like, wow, that scared everyone in the theater.
I wish I could have seen this trilogy.
Hey, don't bite her, stop.
I wish I could have experienced the whole thing in the theater, you know what I mean? I'm not going to say it's a big difference, but it's a difference.
It is, yeah.
Especially for the first time.
Yeah.
Even if I saw it now, everyone who goes to see it in the theater is going to have seen it a million times already, but to have seen it for the first time, and I know you don't care about the audience reactions and stuff like that, but I kind of I love experiencing something with strangers and different people and seeing how they react to things. Like, can you imagine a theater full of people who didn't expect Bilbo to go, "Ah!" and then people scream, I wish I could have experienced
I don't like that. I'm quiet, people. I'm trying to watch the movie.
But you know what I mean? Like, I wish I could have seen everyone react to Bilbo's little jump scare scene in person for the first time in 2001.
Yeah.
But oh well, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. So another really positive thing that I really enjoyed as a book reader, I read the books, is the fact that they changed Aragorn's character. Make him kind of, scared to be the king, scared of the ring, because his ancestor Isildur failed to destroy the ring, he decided to keep it, being selfish, and Aragorn was very scared of that because it's his lineage. In the books, Aragorn was all like, "Hey, yeah, I'm ready to be king. Come on, put me on the throne."
It's just like some jock.
Almost like a jock. I mean, he was like a noble jock, right?
But still, he was like,
he wasn't beating up nerds.
I'm the king. Let's go.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm ready. Put me up there." Very confident. Very.
No, it definitely adds so much depth to his character.
Yeah.
For him to fear his lineage.
Yeah. So that's something I really appreciated that they changed. Kind of goes into things I've said in the past with movies that have been adapted from books and screenplays and whatnot. Is you need to change things from the source material for a movie to make it and to enhance it in ways. Like I said, you don't do everything and change everything, but certain things.
Yeah, it's hard to go straight from book to movie. There's differences.
Yeah.
Some people think you could just take the exact book and put it in the movie. You can't.
Yeah, another example of this that I loved was actually John Hammond in Jurassic Park. You have not read the book, correct? So in the book, John Hammond is actually like the evil capitalist. He doesn't care that his grandkids are missing in the park. He just wants rich money and yada yada. Where they changed his character to be like the loving. He just loved dinosaurs. Just wanted to give people something amazing.
I can't imagine.
He loved his grandkids and was like worried about them. And actually, John Hammond dies at the end. He gets eaten by compies. I think he like trips and like breaks his leg or something, and the compies come and eat him.
I can imagine some money hungry capitalist CEO bro type.
Yeah, making Jurassic Park like back in the day. I mean now, I can imagine some rich douchebag trying to make Jurassic Park just for money. But the guy who does that back in the day for the first time,
there's love in that.
Yeah.
Baron, please. Why are you booping the microphone?
Baron, what do you want? You want to go potty?
No.
You want food?
He wants this.
Oh.
Here. Baron. Here.
But kind of speaking about, I won't go too much more into the books differences and the movie differences for, at least for the Fellowship.
That could be a whole podcast.
Yeah, that could be a whole podcast in itself. But something I'm really glad that they did not include
hot take coming
in the movies was Tom Bombadil. So for those of you that have not read the books, Tom Bombadil is like this almost like godlike being. People speculate that it's J.R. Tolkien himself inside the universe, right? His self-insert character. He's like an all-powerful being. He's stronger than all the wizards and all that, right? And Frodo and Sam get into trouble throughout the books, and
yes, you do.
One point they get captured by spiders, right? And they're like, "Oh no, what do we do?" And then Tom Bombadil will just pop up out of nowhere and be like, "I got you," and save them.
See, this is what I'm talking about, the soft magic versus the hard magic. I love the fact that Gandalf can't come in and save them with a wave of his wand.
Yeah.
And so the fact that Tom Bombadil just comes in and does that.
And then he just leaves.
And then he just
comes back every time they're in trouble.
Very Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, very Deus Ex Machina. I hated that in the books. It looks like he needs to go potty. Are you gonna go potty?
Yeah, but it's a hot take because people
Yeah, a lot of people love Tom Bombadil. And people are upset. A lot of people were upset that he wasn't in the movies. I will say something they did a really good job in the movies was they just left out any scene where Frodo and Sam were in trouble and Tom Bombadil came to help. So in a sense, I was listening to a commentary or an interview with Peter. I believe it was Peter Jackson, and he talked about how they did not include those scenes. So in essence, they could have still happened during the movies.
Okay. In another world.
Yeah. The scenes just weren't there in the movie.
Okay.
That doesn't mean they didn't happen. So
that's clever.
For people that really like Tom Bombadil, they can still believe. Bern, go potty. I know you want to go. Go potty. Good boy. Bran, go potty. Go.
Just leave them out there. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was really well done. Actually, Peter Jackson wanted to film one very, very small scene where Frodo and Sam are just like in the woods and they see someone just for like a glimpse of like someone with a feather in their hat just running through the woods, and that was supposed to be Tom Bombadil. Just for like a like a really small scene
for the fans.
But Peter Jackson ran out of time and didn't have time to film that scene.
Leave him. We're almost done.
No, we're not.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I was really glad that they did not include Tom Bombadil in the movies. But yeah, did you have anything else that you wanted to add before we move on to the extended scenes?
Nope, that's it. Let's move on to the extended scenes.
Alright, you wanna take the first few first?
Yeah, so I think what I'll do is...
There's one more extended scene missing that I thought of, actually.
No.
But I'll get to that later.
Okay, what I think I'll do is I'll talk about the 3 extended scenes that I think should have been kept.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can talk about all the other extended scenes.
Okay, so I can talk about like 10 of them and you talk about 3? Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
Deal with it. So the number 1 best scene. Oh my god. That's why I said leave them out there.
Bran, come on.
So the number 1 best scene that they took out in the extended is the Concerning Hobbits, where Bilbo Baggins is talking about who and what hobbits are. He's talking about like, oh, hobbits are this, hobbits are that. And it's just, it sets the tone for the whole Shire and Frodo and Bilbo. And it's super important character building.
Correct. Honestly, when I was watching, because I've only seen the extended version in the last like 10 years, or less, like 20 years for that matter almost. I was shocked that scene was not in the. Hey, stop that. That little scene was not in the original film, in the theatrical release. Like, I thought it was so iconic. It's like the first lines in the book.
Yeah.
Concerning hobbits. And, to take away that, I was just shocked.
Mm-hmm. It helps the movie flow.
Yeah.
Because it goes from the narration of history into narration of the Shire.
Yeah.
And introducing these characters, so.
And, for the most average person, they don't know what on earth a hobbit is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then the second scene that I really wish that they'd kept was Elrond's council. And so they're talking about Frodo finally brings the ring to the elven city of Rivendell, and then they have all the representatives of the different races come in. They're talking about what to do with the ring, right? And Boromir has a dream that the ring gives to him where he is very enticed to use the ring's magic to help the humans fight, right? And so he's got this voice in his head, and he tries to touch the ring, he reaches out for it, and Gandalf has to yell at him in black speech to scare him back into reality, snap him back. And I think that's important because, spoiler alert, Boromir is the most tempted by the ring out of the party that is the Fellowship of the Rings. And he, at one point, attacks Frodo for the ring. And he immediately feels bad about it afterwards. But it's that build-up, You can't just have him attack Frodo for the ring out of nowhere. You have to show him being enticed by it. You have to show that he's weak to the ring. You have to show why he wants the ring.
I mean, there are like certain scenes, when like Frodo falls in the mountain and Boromir has the ring in his hand.
No, I agree. But,
like that. But
this is the first introductory.
Yeah, and it's the best explanation
I agree.
Yeah, Boromir gives it the best explanation as to why he wants
During
it.
this scene.
He wants it for, at the end of the day, he wants it for a noble cause.
Yeah, he
Boromir's
wants it
not
for
a bad
his
guy.
kingdom and his human.
Yeah, he wants to save his people.
But that's why the ring is so intoxicating.
Yeah.
It can speak to you in a very rational, logical way.
Yeah.
So I think that, and the final scene that I really wish they kept was when the Fellowship is finally leaving Rivendell, and Frodo leads the charge. And as he's leaving, he quietly whispers to Frodo.
To Gandalf.
To Gandalf. Gandalf, which way? Do I go left or right? You know, I just think that scene really highlights the innocence that Frodo has. He wants to save the world. He wants to help his friends. But at the end of the day, he's a little hobbit from the Shire. He doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he signed up for. You know?
Yeah.
But he's here to help. And so, those are the 3 scenes I wish they had kept.
Yeah. Those are all really good scenes.
Do you have any scenes you wish that they kept? In addition?
Yeah, there was, hey, stop that. I just wanna, there's a few scenes I also wish they would have also added, or kept at least. During Bilbo's birthday, Bilbo kind of has a heart-to-heart with Frodo. And
they talk about
they talk about like his parents dying and, you know, why he took him in, and, you know, that scene really showed that Bilbo genuinely cares about Frodo. Right? You know, it's that there is that father-son relationship there.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and it's Frodo's history.
Yeah, it's Frodo's history and all that, and you know, we missed that about Bilbo. You know, Bilbo becomes a little bit more one-dimensional without that.
But at the end of the day, it's not Bilbo's story. It's Frodo's.
Yeah, it's not Bilbo's story. Yeah.
Bilbo had his whole story with the Hobbit.
When Aragorn and the hobbits first leave the Prancing Pony. Hey, stop. Hey.
No.
You know, Aragorn is singing of, you know, Beren and Luthien, you know, a human and an elf who fell in love many, many years ago.
Which is what I was referencing at the beginning.
Yeah, and fun fact, that's on J.R.'s tokens and his wife's tombstones. It's engraved Beren and Luthien, the greatest love story of the Tolkien universe. And, you know, I really like that scene, personally. Just shows a little bit of history, right? And, you know, it shows, like, we all know, like, Aragorn and Arwen, you know, love each other and all of that. But, you know, this really goes to show Aragorn's state of mind. You know,
he's thinking about his girl.
And this scene, I believe, is, other than concerning hobbits scene, this scene is the second most important scene I really wish they added or kept in the film. So Galadriel gives gifts to, you know, in the theatrical version, she only gives the water to, or you know, the light to Frodo. But if you watch the extended version, or, you know, you read the books, Sam gets magical elf rope. Merry and Pippin gets swords. Legolas gets a bow. She gives nothing to Aragorn because she's like, you already got your elven star from Arwen. I don't need to give you anything else. And but she gets
petty.
Yeah, I mean, it's not petty, but
low-key it feels a little petty. She's like, you already have an elven.
It's not like that. It's like, you already have everything you need. What more do you need from me, right? Okay. And then she comes to Gimli and she goes, what can I give a dwarf? She has no idea. For those of you that don't know, dwarves and elves have hated each other for many, 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 many years. It goes way back, and if anyone is really curious, I can talk about that in the next podcast in the Two Towers. Or, you know, maybe I'll bring it up later, but yeah, there's never been a relationship between an elf and a dwarf since then, you know, even friendship. So that's something else. I'm sorry, I have to go back to The Hobbit. I hated about The Hobbit.
Let's keep it.
But yeah, sorry. But anyways, so Gimli, right? He talks. You know, Legolas asks Gimli after they leave, "Oh, what did she give you?" And Gimli says, "I asked for a single hair on her head to remember her beauty by. She gave me 3." Right? And Legolas smiles. In that moment, Legolas knows that.
He has
wow.
a big cheesy smile.
Yeah, you know, and the reason why that's so important, and I understand why they didn't keep this thing, because most people wouldn't have known this unless they've read the books. So there's this elf dude named Feanor, right? He created the Silmarils, which are these magical, beautiful jewels that contain the light and the essence of the world. And then later they became flawed and they caused a whole bunch of issues, basically. But anyways, when he made those jewels, right, it was the inspiration for the jewels was Galadriel's shining gold hair, right? And he begged her 3 times for a single strand of her hair, but she said no, right? Because she had the ability to look into people's hearts, and she saw in Feanor, again, arguably the greatest elf who ever lived. No, because she saw greed and evil, like evilness in his heart, right? Anyways, now comes many years later. She goes up to Gimli, and what happened? Gimli doesn't know this history, right? And Gimli asks for a hair, and what does she? She gives him 3, right? 3 hairs, because she can see in his heart that he is pure and good and just, and that Gimli will cherish. Even though Gimli has no idea about the significance of these hairs, he's gonna cherish them the rest of his life.
He's not gonna use them for anything.
Yeah.
He's just gonna
like, wow, right? Legolas hears this, and he knows the history behind this, right? And like that's the moment when he realized maybe dwarves aren't that bad. You know, maybe there can be a friendship, you know, a relationship between elves and dwarves. And, you know, so that just really sets the tone for the rest of the, you know, the relationship of the movies. Where...
But for the layperson, watching this film, they wouldn't understand the significance.
Correct, yeah, the average person who did not read the book would not have known the significance. But
I understand why you would.
So I understand why they took it out. But again, something I really appreciate about movies is when they add a little bit of something.
For the fans.
For the hardcore fans, right? Kind of going back to like Batman Rises. Again, if they called him Dick, right? Dick Grayson instead of his name Robin. Yeah, I know we're going fast, but again, I gotta go back to The Hobbit. This is why I hated Tauriel and Keely's relationship in those movies. That A, never existed in the book, right? That relationship didn't exist. But it completely undermines the relationship of Gimli and Legolas. The first elf-dwarf relationship in like thousands of years. But anyways.
Do you want to skip the rest of the...
Yeah, the rest of the extended scene just for time. We're gonna skip over.
Yeah, they're mostly the same scenes. They're just extended a little longer. There's a few extra conversations and things that occur in the extended scene.
Oh, there is one small scene.
Oh, the elves?
What else?
Leaving?
No. It's the, when they leave Lorien on the boats, Gollum is actually still following them.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's riding like a log. And like Aragorn sees him.
It's like a shadow or like...
No, you see him like on a log, like his whole body's like in the water and his head just like over the log and he's like floating down.
I like that.
And Aragorn's like, yeah, I was hoping we'd lose him in the river, but he's too good of a boatsman or whatever. But yeah, so now we're gonna move on to some trivia. But oh yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, go with the trivia.
Oh, start with the trivia?
Mm-hmm.
Most of these are yours, but I'm gonna say them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Gandalf, when he hits his head in the Shire on the beam.
Bilbo's house, yeah.
In Bilbo's house, yeah. That was an accident. Decided to keep it. I think it's fun. Yeah. I think it's legitimate. If you imagine being like this giant being in a hobbit's house, like you're gonna hit your head. It's great. It's slice of life, very realistic, very cute. Another thing, Viggo Mortensen insisted on doing his own stunts, and he insisted on using a real steel sword for his scenes. This man also like camped when they were doing filming and stuff. People would like go back into the town. This man was like, "I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna be camping right here for this scene."
He lived as Aragorn.
He lived as Aragorn. It's truly a Dunedain. So that was fantastic. And one of the sword masters who trained Viggo called him the best swordsman that he ever trained. So he's got that. And I believe he also adopted his horse that he rode.
Yeah, he bought the horse for a stunt double.
Oh, for his stunt
I
double.
believe, yeah.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I mean, we can double check that, but...
You want to go into the other ones?
Yeah, I'll go over the Christopher Lee one, then you can do your last
Yeah.
one.
I went
So
to my last.
again, there's way too much trivia to go over everything. Sorry about the camera shaking. Our little corgi is running around near the camera and causing it to shake. And now Legion is walking across the front of the camera.
Please, y'all. It's like they know. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so Sir Christopher Lee was the first one who played Saruman in the movies. He was the first one to be cast in the trilogy. Just some fun facts about him. He's the only one to actually have met J.R. Tolkien face to face. He would read the books every year, all the Lord of the Rings books, since they were published until he died. He loved the Lord of the Rings book. He was ecstatic when he was cast. He was actually originally wanted to be casted as Gandalf, but due to Christopher Lee's age and like the condition of his body, he knew he wouldn't be able to handle it. So he was recasted as Saruman. And then with his extensive knowledge of the Lord of the Rings universe, he would frequently visit makeup department and often gave them tips about facial designs of the monsters and creatures in the Lord of the Rings.
And he was also friends with
Yeah.
Tolkien, right? Did you
Yeah.
mention that part?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, very, very interesting man. I could talk about Sir Christopher Lee for quite some time, but again,
Rip in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Rip in peace.
It's a joke.
But yeah, so if you want to last one.
Yeah, so Miramax was the first studio to express an interest in Peter Jackson's interpretation of the books, but they wanted him to do it in one film, and Peter Jackson was like, no, there's no way I can do that. And so he had 4 weeks left to find another studio to fund him. Must you? And then thinking that no studio would want to greenlight 3 films, he struck it down to 2. And he was, trying to sell 2 movies to people. And even then, most studios didn't want to take on the project. So he called on his friend Mark Ordesky, an executive at New Line Cinema, and did the pitch, and they did it to the president, Robert Shea. And Shea's only request with the presentation was that it be 3 movies. So, little known fact, New Line Cinema was in deep hot water, had no money a long time ago, and they put all their money,
whatever they had left,
everything they had left, into a film. You know what that film was? Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Freddy Krueger film. And it did great in the box office, made a huge return in their investments, kept New Line Cinema alive, and is the reason we have the Peter Jackson trilogy that we know and love to this day. And so without Freddy Krueger, we might not have the Lord of the Rings as we know it today. The masterpiece that we know of it today. Just my little, I love horror movies. I love Freddy Krueger. He was one of my first favorite horror movie baddies. So thought it was a really fun, interesting fact. So on to quotes.
I think Burns stole her true. But anyways, yeah, so again, way too many quotes to list them all, so we're just going to go over some of our favorites. And arguably most iconic, right? We got Gandalf. When Frodo, is upset about the ring coming to him. So do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us.
Honestly, I think about that when I go through hard times.
Yeah. Really iconic.
Truly. And he also says, "You shall not pass."
Boosh.
Fantastic.
Let's see. Boromir, I love this line. I would have followed you, my brother, my captain, my king.
As he's dying.
Yeah.
In Aragorn's arms.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's the point where Aragorn really starts to think about his role.
Yeah.
And his part to play in this story. So I love this one. Samwise Gamgee, he's talking to Frodo. He goes, I made a promise, Mr. Frodo. A promise. Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. And I don't mean to. I don't mean to. Haley says that to me all the time. Also, another good one. Don't go where I can't follow, Mr. Frodo.
Oh, that's later.
Oh, is that in
the
another
third
film?
one,
Darn, sorry.
Yeah.
Haley says that one to me all the time.
Let's see. This one was supposed to be comical, and it was supposed to confuse all the hobbits. Actually, during the Bilbo's speech during his birthday, and Gandalf, you see him smiling because he's the only one who understood the line.
Is it straight from the book? I think?
It is straight from the book.
Okay.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
Keep in mind, this is said quite faster.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, when I first heard it, I had to like really think about it to like really understand it. Let's see. You want to take the next one?
Yeah, this one is probably the most iconic for this film. I mean, obviously they're all from this film, right? But this is like the Fellowship, right? And so Aragorn goes, if by my life or death I can protect you, I will. You have my sword. And Legolas goes, and you have my bow. And Gimli goes, and my axe. And so and thusly, the Fellowship is formed.
That's one is one of my personal favorites. Gimli.
Isn't Gimli your favorite of the Fellowship?
Yeah, Gimli is my favorite. Yeah. Let them come. There's one dwarf yet in Moria who still draws breath.
And then the meme, one does not simply walk into Mordor. That's Boromir.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot more lines, a lot more trivia, but for time's sake,
yeah, we could just keep going.
Yeah, we gotta keep it short. I mean, granted, we're already almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's probably our longest podcast.
Yeah, ironically, we say the longer the podcast, the worse the movie is, but this one has the opposite effect.
There's exceptions.
Yeah.
That's everything, I think.
Yeah. Tune in next week if you want to catch us live or catch us on YouTube.
I think Two Towers is my personal favorite.
Really? Yeah. Yes, so our next week will be Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, where again we'll be watching the theatrical version and then the extended scenes after.
Separately, yeah. So we can compare.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add?
Oh, I had mentioned if I was going to be a Lord of the Rings race, I would be a hobbit.
Yes.
What would you be? A dwarf?
So I'd want to be a dwarf that does not marry a dwarf. I don't want bearded women.
You don't want... But you can't help what you're attracted to. Like, if you grew up in dwarven society, you would think dwarven ladies were attractive.
I mean, I grew up in Asian society, and I like white blonde women, so...
But you also grew up in America. That's different.
That's true, I guess.
That's different.
So, but yeah, so I'd be a dwarf.
Be a dwarf. Would you marry a little hobbit? Why?
Why not?
Alright, that's Cupcakes and Hot Takes with John and Maral. That's John.
And that's Maral.
Thank you for staying tuned in with us, and see you next week.
And don't forget to like, subscribe.
Comment and subscribe.
Comment. Yeah, I forget where the buttons will be, but yeah, just somewhere around here.
You gotta practice.
Yeah, so thanks again. Have a great night.
Good night. Run, John.